We're right around the corner from the release of a follow-up to The Evil Within. The first game was pretty cool, but this one may have some really good improvements in store. So we're here with 7 things you need to know about The Evil Within 2. Starting off at number 7, one thing that Bethesda has come out and said is that you don't necessarily need to play the first game to play its sequel, and that it stands on its own as its own thing. So you don't have to be scared of missing something from the first game if you didn't play it, because some people just didn't. It didn't sell extremely well. Judging from what we've seen so far of the game though, I don't totally agree, but hey, I didn't make the game. All you really need to know is the main dude went through some crazy stuff in the previous game, and he's recovering from it when something new pops up. Apparently they've designed it to be easy to pick up and jump in, but if you really care, I'm sure a YouTube video can catch you up to speed as well. But at number 6, speaking of the story, what exactly is the plot, you ask? Well, once again, we play as Sebastian Castellanos, now a former detective, who is out on his own after no one really believed his story from the first game. He falls into a rut trying to find his own leads, and then he meets up with one of his colleagues from the first game, Julie Kidman. She shows up and tells him that his daughter is in fact not dead and is actually captured by the evil Mobius Corporation who had dealings in the first game. Lily is apparently alive and being used as a test subject for Union, a new STEM-created world with Lily's brain. Like the first game, STEM worlds are a reflection of a person's mind, so it's up to Sebastian to jump in and figure out what the deal is with Union and stuff, and at the same time face personal fears and the traumas within. Because I'm sure, once again, it's going to turn out that the evil within was really inside of us all along. I'm sorry. But at number 5, The Evil Within played like an action-oriented survival horror game with elements of, pretty intense shootouts with monsters and creatures, and some pretty decent stealth sections too. Evil Within 2 seems to continue this trend. Interestingly enough though, from the demos we've seen, it feels more like Resident Evil 4, down to Sebastian entering an unknown town, and then stumbling upon a bad person, and then the whole town is hostile. But now, interestingly enough, there's going to be 2 control scheme options. The traditional control similar to the first game that felt kind of like survival horror and tank-like, and a newer, more fluid control option. It's kind of a weird, interesting choice to include both, but I'm glad they're both there. And at number 4, you should know that the crafting system makes its return from the first game, but there have been some changes made to make it flow a little bit better. The gel that you would use to upgrade Sebastian and his weapons in the first game is still in play, but in Evil Within 2, you'll only use it to upgrade Sebastian himself, and to upgrade his weapons, you'll be using weapon parts. Sebastian's upgrades are split into 5 categories. There's combat, recovery, stealth, athleticism, and health. And it works pretty much exactly how you think it would. Like when you upgrade his health, you obviously have more health. But there are also going to be special moves that you can upgrade as well. But for weapons, you'll be able to upgrade the normal stuff like reload time, ammo capacity, rate of fire, stuff like that. But the Warden crossbow, while still using weapon parts, actually has a different set of upgrades because the weapon is just so important. The biggest difference being that each bolt type can be upgraded. Ammunition is still really scarce for these things, but now you're actually able to craft it using workbenches. You can actually craft it without a workbench too, but by doing that, you're going to use up more resources, which adds a little level of strategy to it. Because the ammo scarcity did always play a huge role in the first game, you always had to decide whether or not the situation you were in called for the use of ammo or not, and now you're still doing that, but now the upgrade materials are very much more at stake. And next at number 3, one of the Evil Within 2's biggest focuses will be a change in level design. Most of the original game was pretty linear, and although the sequel will have moments of running through tight corridors and spooky creepy houses, much has really been made about some areas being larger and more open as a way of pacing the game a little better. Within these larger explorable areas, for example, we've seen Sebastian creeping around in a weird suburban area riddled with zombie type dudes. You're going to be free to search for extra loot and stuff to put into your character and customization. You now have this new communicator object that can help you find stuff to do in the world, and with that, small side objectives will pop up that you can choose to take care of that will give you bonuses, or at the very least, a leg up on whatever you have to do next. Look, it's not exactly like RPG questing stuff, but hopefully a way to add a bit more gameplay to the experience without it feeling like padding, but we'll see.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
At number 2, you should know that the man behind Resident Evil and one of the grandfathers of survival horror, Shinji Mikami, is not directing and leading this game. He was the mind and director behind the original Evil Within. The game was very distinctly a weird Shinji Mikami style game. But Mikami is now taking a backseat to directing and is serving as the executive producer. But Bethesda's head honcho Pete Hines also said that Mikami's hands would still be all over this game. So there's no arguing his hands aren't on the project, there's just speculation as to how much influence influence he really will have over it. However, though, now we have a John Johannes taking up the helm. He has plenty of experience working within the team on the original Evil Within, and he was the head of the Julie Kidman DLC stuff, so there's that. According to interviews, he's bringing along more abstract and cerebral puzzles, as well as a focus on characterization and strong motivations for the lead characters. But again, I guess we'll see soon enough. Because with that, at number 1, some housekeeping. Evil Within 2 is releasing on October 13th, which actually lands on Friday the 13th, which that's pretty cool for a horror game. It's cute, I get it. According to info, it will be Xbox One enhanced, supporting both HDR and 4K, which will more likely be checkerboard 4K because native 4K isn't listed. The PC is also going to have 4K support. So far, there aren't any specifics for PS4 Pro support, but the PlayStation site does have PS4 Pro support listed, just not the specifics. So it is safe to assume that it'll be the same as like Xbox One X with HDR and 4K and stuff like that. But PC spec wise, we're looking at a minimum of 8 gigs of RAM with an i5 and a GTX 660 or an AMD 7970. But the recommended is at least 16 gigs of RAM, an i7, and at least a 1060 or a 480. And it's going to be 40 gigabytes. But those are some things that we wanted to fill you in with the Evil Within 2. Funny enough, the game is coming out Friday, and there's still little bits of mystery around the game. And you know what? We're fine with that. Sometimes we like to be a little surprised. So now we gotta talk in the comments. How are you guys feeling about the Evil Within 2? Were you lukewarm on the first one, or did you absolutely love it as a horror fan? Because people seem kind of mixed. Nobody really hates the game, but it's very divided still. And what do you expect from the Evil Within 2? Whatever you have to say about the game, let's talk down in the comments. We'll be down there. And you probably know clicking the like button does help us out. We really appreciate it. But subscribing if you're new is a good idea too, because we put out stuff like this all the time. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.